Namaskar and a warm welcome to one and all of you to NHRDN Udaan 2020 in association with SAIL MTI. 2020 has been a path-breaking year in several ways, and Udaan Business Leadership Quiz 2020 in its 10th avatar shifted from the in-person mode to the virtual space, giving us an opportunity to make it bigger and grander. A special thanks to SAIL MTI for their unending support and NHRDN Ranchi chapter for leading this initiative, together with all our sponsors, IOCL, NTPC, GAIL, UPR NNL, CrowdStrike, IFGL, Sarvesh Refractory, IILM, and all the others who worked tirelessly towards making this event possible. 350 plus participants, 50 plus organizations, months of hard work by the organizing committee, working tirelessly behind the scenes, 2 prelims where the best of the best battled it out to prove their mettle, leading to the 4 zonal finals, rolling out right before you over the next 2 days, culminating in the grand finale, which is scheduled in less than a week from now. There is action-packed goodness that awaits you. And the kind of excitement backstage is palpable, which you will soon get to see as we begin the proceedings of the day. A special note for the audience. All fellow quizzing enthusiasts, please do stay tuned in to our YouTube live streaming channel until the very end, because there are plenty of prizes waiting to be won by simply posting the fastest correct answer in the comment section of each question, which our quiz master for the day will be leading going forward. Details will be shared with you. The NHRDN's Twitter handle is @NHRDN, followed by the hashtag, which is hashtag Udaan 2020. Now, the moment where, I unmask rather in 2020, the quiz master, Ajay Punyaji, as he refers to himself as quizzically yours. I happen to take a look at his website, which is a prominent one in the edutainment space. So ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seat belts as we are all set to take flight. Over to you, Ajayji.
Thank you so very much. Very warm welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you, Nisha ma'am, for that wonderful welcome. Right, so a very warm welcome to each one of you, all of you who've joined in on various streaming platforms on behalf of National HRD Network, Steel Authority of India Limited, and also National HRD Network Ranchi chapter. I'd like to welcome each one of you, all the dignitaries, all the guests, all members of the organizing committee, all viewers on various streaming platforms, and of course, our wonderful participants who we've masked for a while. This is a quiz. So let me quickly, because we're slightly behind schedule, so let me quickly go through certain important bits and certain format and structure of this quiz so that all of you are familiar what lies ahead over the course of next 8 to 10 days. Today we're here with the Eastern Zonal Final. We've already conducted 2 preliminary rounds. From the preliminary rounds, we identified 24 participants. We divided them into 4 groups of 6 participants each, East, West, North, South. And today, now we're here for the East Zone Final. 6 wonderful participants who did exceedingly well across both the prelims, and now they're here with us to participate in the Eastern Region Final, right? Interestingly, in the previous 9 editions of this quiz, we all gathered and accumulated at the SAIL MTI Center in Ranchi. But this year, in its 10th year, we've when it was only just a single quiz happening over, one Sunday in June, mostly the third Sunday of June. But this year, we are, some would hate me for saying this, but in a sense, we're lucky enough to expand the horizons of Udaan. And in its 10th edition, we've expanded to cover all the various regions of our country. So like I said, here we are with the Eastern Zone. This is a quiz in which you can participate, and nobody would frown when I say that you can participate and join us from your place and mine, right? So welcome each one of you. It is now time for me to unmask and welcome our finalists as well. So let's quickly get underway with the Eastern Zonal Finals. All right. So here we are with the Eastern Zonal Finals. It is now time for me to also thank our sponsors, without whose support this event wouldn't have been possible. This is a program presented to you by Steel Authority of India Limited, National HRD Network, Ranchi Chapter, and National HRD Network. The associate partners are Indian Oil, CrowdStrike, NTPC, GAIL, IFGL, UP, RNL, and our academic partner is IILM, right? So I'd like to welcome each of our sponsors. Thank you. And without your support, this program wouldn't have been possible. Now we'll move on to get underway and welcoming our finalists. Right, so one by one, I'll be calling our finalists on screen. Starting with our first finalist is Rishikant Gupta from SAIL Bokaro. Right, welcome Rishi. Congratulations for qualifying. Joining you is Anand Raj, also from Bokaro SAIL. Anand, if we can have you joining in. Yes. Welcome, Anand. Then we have Janishar Imam, also from Bokaro SAIL. And trust me, this won't be the last time I'll be taking the name of Bokaro SAIL. Right. Then as participant number 4 is Ankita Dev, also representing SAIL Bokaro. As participant number 5 is also from Bokaro SAIL, Subhashi Kiswata. And finally, lineup, a lone ranger who isn't from Bokaro SAIL, from Cap Gemini, Ravi Sankar Saha. Right, welcome all finalists, welcome all participants. You've done exceedingly well to qualify till this stage. For our viewers, you must be wondering if, this is an internal SAIL Bokaro quiz, but believe you me, this is not. This is an inter-corporate event, but it so happens that not all, but 5 out of the 6 qualifiers happen to be from SAIL Bokaro, just like badminton championships in China or athletics championships in Jamaica, where you tend to see world record standards being matched. In this case also, within the Institute of SAIL, within the organization of SAIL, and specifically Bokaro, we have a fairly strong contingent, and it's there for all of us to see. 5 out of 6 are from Bokaro, right? So we'll move on to certain other important aspects of this quiz. A very important aspect, right? A question that you would have thought of perhaps during the prelims or in the gap between the prelims and in this zonal round. Can I cheat during the quiz? And I have a very simple answer to that. No and no, right? So whatever color you like, simply no. So you're not allowed to indulge in anything that is inappropriate. All my decisions will be final and binding, and I will be keeping a close watch. I will be keeping a keen eye, taking a look at your movements, your eye movements, your hand movements, your bodily movements, not functions, just movements during the course of this quiz. And as there were certain instructions that we have already sent to you earlier over email, we may disqualify you perhaps immediately during the course of this quiz, or we may disqualify you even after. Once when we declare the results, say amazing things about you, we'll check the recording of the video, And if we feel that there was, even for a moment, we feel that, you indulged in something that was inappropriate, we'll be bound to disqualify. I hope that doesn't happen. Right. So a very important thing, because there are quite a few audience people, a lot of audience members, I don't exactly know the numbers that are joined in on various streaming platforms, because we have certain audience members who are joining in. There are certain prizes for you as well. So I'll get to tell you how you can go about it. First, quickly go to Twitter and follow National HRD Network at the rate NHRDN. If you don't already follow them, please do follow them. They come up with great content. There are also weekly quizzes. Even after the end of the Udaan quiz, you can continue to follow them. They've done over 30 weekly editions of Saturday quizzes. Please follow NHRDN on Twitter. Listen to the audience questions carefully, which will come on your screen, and I will be announcing them after the end of each round. There are a total of 4 rounds. We'll get to them in a bit. When you hear the audience question, please reply with your answer to National HRD Network at the rate NHRDN, which I hope you've already started following. The question, while I announce, will also be live tweeted from the account as well, right? So please answer on the Twitter or on the exact tweet on which the question is posted. Just hit reply and answer. You don't have to specifically comment or write to NHRDN. As soon as I ask the question, at the very same time, it will also be tweeted. And when it is tweeted, you reply to it. And the fastest answer, we'll get to it in a bit. Please remember, it must include the hashtag Udaan2020. Then you can wait with bated breath till the results are announced. And the results will be announced in the favor of the fastest person to answer. And you get to win some amazing, some really cool Amazon gift vouchers. All right, so that's how the audience questions will work. So I would request all the members of the audience who are with us here, please join in on join us on Twitter. Please follow National HRD Network at the rate NHRDN. Please wait for the audience questions to come in. Please, you'll be really happy. We'll be really happy if we get a lot of responses. The earliest response, however, will get to win the Amazon gift vouchers. The questions will not be pretty straightforward, right? So just keep that in mind. You would need a bit of attention. You would need a bit of smartness to be able to answer those questions as well. All right. So we'll move on to beginning with the round. And I don't see Anand here. Okay, Anand, you're back. All right. So we'll start. This is the first round. This is called a crossword. There are 6 questions in a crossword. You will be getting 20 seconds per question. I will be displaying the crossword that needs to be solved. I'll be telling you the word that needs to be answered. Your default score is +5, -5, multiple buzzers allowed on the same question. You get +10 and -10 if you double. You're allowed to double before you give me the answer. So only if you double before you actually give me the answer, will you be getting double the point, and that's +10 and -10. There are multiple buzzers allowed on every question, so all 6 of you can hit the buzzer. All right. So good luck to each one of you. My simple request to everyone is please be seated like Anand and Ravi, and also Ankita, where I can see your hands, I can see your phones, right? Please keep your phones up so that it's visible, so that I can see that your hands are on your phone, and only one hand, because it's just one button. I'm sure your thumb can do the job for you. You don't have to hold it with 2 hands. Just use one hand, left or right, whatever is suitable. Don't leave your other hand free. If you want to track scores at the same time as we are, feel free to do that, right? Just use one hand. All right, so we'll start. Here is your first, here is your crossword, right? So I'm looking for one down. It's a 5-letter answer, all right? +5, -5 default, +10, -10 if you double. Okay, let's start. Your question, first question, Eastern Zonal Final of Udaan 2020 on your screen now. The modern logo for this brand has its origins during World War II, where the colors meant to show American patriotism. In 2008, the brand announced that it will redesign the logo and rebrand many of its products. The logo thus became a series of smiles with the central white band arcing at different angles depending on the variant of the product. Which company is this? Anand, you're on the buzzer. Please unmute and answer.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's Pepsi.
You're guessing it's Pepsi. You haven't doubled. So that would have been for +5 and -5. Your guess is Pepsi. That is correct. That's the answer. Good answer indeed. Absolutely, Anand. It is indeed Pepsi, but just because you did not double, you only get a 5, but at least you've registered your presence on the scoreboard, and I'm sure you'll feel good about it. There's a long way to go in this quiz. Right, so 6 questions in round 1. First question done. Anand has already secured 5 points for himself. We move on to question number 2. The last letter, that's E, right? That is visible. It's a 9-letter answer with the last letter as E. Okay, here is your question 2 across. You'll see a visual. I'll play the visual for a bit, and after that, I'll show you the text of the question. Feel free to hit the buzzer just by looking at the visual. It says, let there be change. Okay, that's all that there is. There's not too much to be answered in the visual itself, not too many hints in the visual itself. So we'll take a look at the question. Up until 2017, the company's strategy was rotation to the new, with a focus on moving clients to the cloud and digital services. Last month, they designed this campaign with their in-house agency, Roga 5, calling it the biggest brand move in a decade. The brand identity, however, continues to use a 16th century Thomas Harriot symbol for more than 20 years. Which company? Said, let there be change. Last letter E, 9 letters, globally renowned. 3 seconds. Right, time's up. Nobody went for it on the buzzer. The right answer is Accenture. The right answer is Accenture. Let there be change. That's their latest brand strategy. The Thomas Harriot symbol is the greater than symbol, right? That's something that remains constant in across various brand identities that they've adopted. The greater than symbol remains constant. That's the mathematical symbol I was speaking of. We move on. No points to anyone since nobody pressed the buzzer. We move on to question number 3. That's 3 across. The last letter is I, and it's an 8-letter answer. All right. The last letter is I. It's an 8-letter answer. Here is your question. Okay, again, a visual. Take a look at the visual. Right. So on your right is a zoomed in visual of the left visual of the left image. So just to give you a context. All right, let's take a look at the question. 5 years after the HSBC headquarters came up in Hong Kong, the Bank of China building was built. In response, 2 maintenance cranes in the shape of cannons pointing toward Bank of China Tower were installed on top of HSBC. Why? 4 and 4, 2-letter answer. A 2-word answer, 4 letters, 4 letters. 2 words of 4 letters each. Why did they install cannons or cranes in the shape of cannons pointing towards the Bank of China Tower? There's really 2 keywords that I'm looking for. Nobody going for it on the buzzer. So let's take a look at the visual and let me explain. So as you can see, that's the HSBC tower on the right, and in the right visual, and on the left is both the HSBC tower as well as the Bank of China Tower, the one with the tall towers on top of it. The reason was simply because they wanted to not be concerned with the negative energies coming from the Bank of China Tower, because the tower wasn't made in accordance with Feng Shui, right? So this is Feng Shui is what I was looking for. Rishi, you pressed the buzzer. Is there something that you wanted to say?
No, I was just getting when you were explaining, I got the answer.
Too late though. right? So this is Feng Shui. The Bank of China Tower wasn't made as per Feng Shui, so which is why it was a bit of a problem for HSBC. They wanted to keep the negative energies away. They installed cranes in the form of cannons. That was pretty interesting. Unfortunately, nobody got the right answer on this one. We move on to the next one, and that's the N of Feng Shui. So it's 5 letters down. N is the first letter. All right. Ravi, one hand on the phone, please. Okay. Right. So N is your first letter, 5-letter answer. Take a look at the visual. Slightly old image. 2 images actually. Okay, Anand again. Yes, Anand, what is your answer?
Double.
Okay, you're doubling, and your answer is?
Nivea.
Nivea. That's a -10 to Anand. Next on the buzzer is Janishar. Janishar, can I have your answer?
I was guessing Nivea, but I'll go for Nika now.
You will go for?
I was guessing the same name, Nivea, but I'll go for something else.
Right, I need an answer. 3 seconds. 2, 1. That's a -5, Janishar. Passes to Ravi.
Yeah, I will double it. So
You will double.
so this is nylon, because Second World War there was shortage of nylon because of parachute and things. So they used to put the woman's stocking in the place of woman's stocking. They used to paint it. Basically, that is what is happening.
Is absolutely perfect. That's the answer that I was looking for, Ravi. Brilliant answer. It is indeed nylon. So as Ravi explained, that was my question. Just before the Second World War, DuPont started manufacturing nylon in the late 1930s. But then DuPont wasn't able to meet the demands of the retail shoppers, because earlier women were using silk stockings. And when DuPont came up with nylon, which was a cheaper alternative, and I'm guessing a lot more durable. So there were such stores that opened up as substitutes because that wasn't accessible. They would just paint the legs of women. And then because of the Second World War, the War Promotion Board then asked DuPont to use nylon for manufacturing parachutes, etc. And all of that happened. Completely very well explained there by Ravi. That's the answer that I was looking for. And of course, he did double it, and as a result of which he gets 10 points for that. Wonderful quizzing there, Ravi. Unfortunately, a couple of you get negatives. Anand gets -10. He got a +5 earlier. Now he gets a -10, and Janishar gets a -5 as well. Right. 2 more questions to go. Here is question number. Oh, nice. First, let me place nylon. Then we move on to the H of Feng Shui. So it's a 4-letter answer. Starts with the letter H. Here is your question. There was no grand vision of building a world-scale enterprise. Their aim was simply to survive and provide for their families. So goes the HarperCollins description of the winner of the 2020 Tata Literature Live Business Book Award. Which company is the subject of this book? Ravi again.
I will double it.
You will double it again, and your answer?
Hero Honda's Hero.
Is correct. Absolutely. That's the answer. This is indeed the making of Hero, written by Sunil Kant Munjal. Perfect answer there, Ravi. Back-to-back 10 pointers for you. Well done. So that places Hero for you. And what that does is it gives you 2 O's for our last question. Right. So this is our last question of this round. All right. On your screen, it's a 8-letter answer with the 3rd letter and the 6th letter both as O's. All right. In this case, so it's basically a 2-word answer. If you're not able to give me the 2nd word, and if you can explain the concept with using the 1st word, I will give you points. All right. So because the 2nd word is essentially a creation. So if you can't get the 2nd word, it's okay. But certainly get the 1st word and then explain to me the concept. Right, here is your question. Cosmetic doctors and plastic surgeons worldwide have reported increase in bookings for surgical and non-surgical treatments following the lockdown. Pre-lockdown, this trend was called Snapchat dysmorphia. but now it has been giving a rhyming name. So it's a rhyming name to help you with the second word. Associated with another company, what perceptual distortion are people obsessing over, which is making them go under the knife? What perceptual distortion are people obsessing
The second word you need, or first word will do?
If you give me the first word and explain the concept, that's fine. Okay, Rabi. Yes.
So the first word is Zoom. So people
Okay.
going to live streamings or calls and things, okay, so they want to look good. So basically that's why, okay, they go to so much close-ups was not there earlier. So people see them close-ups and things. So, okay, this is happening post lockdown because people are getting into calls and mostly things. So first word is Zoom, and then would be Zoom gloom or something sort of that. So,
Okay, it says rhyming name. So you want to work on your rhyming skills, Mr. Rabi Elliott or Rabi the poet?
Zoom doom or things, okay, kind of things.
Zoom doom. Okay, now it's not Zoom doom, but it's Zoom boom. Absolutely, that's the answer that I was looking for. And as Rabi completely explained, so because we're all, half of our lives are either spent gorging on unhealthy food, and the other half is on, calls over Zoom and group meetings over Zoom, like this one. So now Snapchat dysmorphia has, Zoom boom has taken over a concept that was earlier called Snapchat dysmorphia. Absolutely well done there, Rabi, and that gets you 5 points. Right. Before we move on to our second round, let's quickly play an audience question. Yes, we have an audience question. So, members of the audience, I told you earlier, please remember, while I ask the question will also be posted live on Twitter. So you listen to the question and then you head to Twitter and give an answer there. Right. So take a look at the visual. And my question is, this is located in Hong Kong. What nickname is given to the Western District Public Cargo, which amasses a considerable tourist attraction because it offers views like that of the Hong Kong skyline, sunset, old lampposts, caution barriers, cargo pellets, etc., and thus adds to the aesthetic value of the place and also to the people visiting. Right. So what is the name given to this Western District Public Cargo in Hong Kong? And you can see some of the visuals from there. So there's a nickname that's given to this place, and you can see that activity also taking place in the visuals. So head over to Twitter. You've already followed National HRD Network @NHRDN. Please give your answer, the correct answer, whatever you think that would be, along with the hashtag Udaan 2020. Right. So the question is already there. You have to comment on that question. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to keep track of where you're giving your answers. There are some Amazon gift vouchers to be won. So quickly do that. While you do that, I will tell you the scores after the end of round one. So scores are as follows. Rabi at this point is leading with a score of 25 points. And at this point of time is squarely shouldering the burden of non-Bokaro sale teams and is doing that exceedingly well. He's currently leading with a score of 25 points. And then some distance away is, essentially nobody else. The three of you haven't really said anything, so I shouldn't say that you're trying to chase him yet. So three of you are on 0. That's Subhashi, Shankita, and Rishi. All of you haven't opened your account because you haven't said anything. And Anand, you did open the account, however, but then you took a big negative, and so you're on -5, and Janishar, you're on -5 as well. Long way to go. There are still 3 more rounds of quizzing that follows in this quiz. So I'm guessing the audience has come back. So we will continue. We will move on to round number 2. Round number 2 is called Bid Wars. There are 7 questions. But before I play the questions, I will be giving you, as the second point says, I will be giving you the topic of the question, and I will be giving you the images associated with the question. You will get 15 seconds to bid. The bid is basically for 10 points, right? So you're bidding a question for 10 points. If you're not sure by looking at the image and the topic, it's okay. You don't have to bid. You wait for the question to come up on screen. You have 20 seconds. In that time, you can press the buzzer, but unlike the last round, you can't double. You can only answer for +5 and -5. There are multiple buzzers allowed. To those people who are bidding, so this is a personal tribute to the Economics Nobel. This round is a personal tribute to the Economics Nobel of this year, which was basically around the theme of auctions. So if there are, say, 2 bidders or more than 2 bidders, they will get preference in answering the question when I display the question in the order of how you bid. If neither one of the bidders are able to give me the answer, then the question passes to the non-bidders, provided they've hit the buzzer. If you not on the buzzer, then obviously the question will not pass to you. But the non-bidders, if you answer after taking a look at the question, you will answer for +5 and -5, and that does not impact the score of the bidders. The bidders, however, if there are 3 people who bid, the first 2 are not able to answer, the third bidder answers, the third bidder gets +10, the first 2 bidders get -10. Right. So if the non-bidders answer, then the bidders get immunity from negative also. So there are lots of permutations and combinations that have to be kept in mind before you press the buzzer.
Ajay, one question just to.
Yes.
So if I am a bidder, I still get to see the questions. What is the exact
Yes,
question?
you will.
Okay.
You will get to. So I will not ask for the answer after you bid. I will display the question.
Thanks.
And then I will ask you for the answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you're only bidding. So it's essentially that I'm signaling that this is the kind of question I'll be asking. And then you're signaling back to me that, okay, this seems exciting to me. So I'll bid. I'll bid for 10. That's what it means in simple English, keeping the math and auctioning aside. All right. So we'll start. First bid, common to everyone. On your screen, 15 seconds. I will not be saying anything. You will see the topic and you will see the image. Here is your first question. I'm looking for a technology and I've given you an associated image. Your answer has to be a technology. If you're interested in taking it for 10, you can press the buzzer. All right, your time is up. So there's only one buzzer that I have, and that's from Rishi, right? So Rishi, what that means for you is I will be playing the question. If you don't give a right answer, you don't get a negative. But if you get a right answer, you get 10 points.
Yeah,
okay?
I think it's.
You can take a look at the question. You can take a look at the question. Yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, relax, Rishi. Take a look at the question. Okay. Others, you can press the buzzer, but only for +5, -5. And if Rishi is not able to give the right answer. All right, Rishi, your question. You can unmute yourself, Rishi. Project Dastan is a peace building initiative which examines the impact of the largest forced migration in recorded history, the 1947 partition of India and Pakistan. Backed by University of Oxford, how do they connect people on either side of the border with their ancestral homes and communities? Rishi.
I think they are using that LIDAR technology to discover the archaeological sites. And
what technology is this?
LIDAR.
Okay, how does that work?
Yeah, actually they take the footage, just satellite footage or drone footage of those areas, and they discover what's beneath the vegetation. So they can.
Right. Rishi, you don't get a negative. Question passes to Subhashish for +5 and -5.
Google Maps
is a -5 to Subhashish, and the buzzer closed. Anand, you were too late. The 20 seconds were over. So that's a -5 to Subhashish and nothing to Rishi. It's not Google Maps. It's not satellite view either. The answer that I was looking for is virtual reality, right? So they put in those virtual reality goggles and you can see your ancestral home, what it looks like, and all of that. So simply they make use of virtual reality and not LiDAR or Google Maps, right? So -5 Subhashish, nothing to Rishi. We move on to question 2, and here it is 15 seconds for the bid. Why the seal? What is the reason for this seal? 3 seconds running out. Nobody on the buzzer yet. Okay, Rishi, just in time, playing extremely strategically here. Again, giving himself an immunity about negatives. So that's great. Good for you. Rishi, please unmute yourself. And here is your question. Others on the buzzer for +5, -5. Motherboard recently found out quite a bit of non-black run restaurants had listed themselves as black run in Uber Eats. An unfortunate oversight on Uber's part in an attempt to promote black run businesses. Going back in history, between 1933 to 39, this seal was used by companies displaying what exclusionary practice?
Yeah, I think this sale was to identify the Jews entity, the Jews restaurants and other places that run by Jews.
So these seals were used by Jews?
Yeah, for identifying themselves.
For identifying themselves as Jews. All right, that is incorrect, but you're not too wrong, because it was actually the opposite of that. It was pure Aryan. So to identify as a pure Aryan, so that is why it said proudly displaying themselves, right? Because Jews were under severe attack, and I'm sure you're well aware of the history, and I don't need to regurgitate that unfortunate event from our global history. So this seal, the ADEFA seal, was basically to identify that these were all pure Aryan-run businesses, and so no Jews were allowed. Rishi, your answer was quite the opposite of that, right? So which is why I can't give you points. So like it said, proudly displaying what? No Jews allowed. Okay. We move on to question number 3, 15 seconds for the bid. A defunct retail chain. Let me drop another clue. In India. It's an Indian defunct retail chain. All right. So this time it's just Anand going for it on the buzzer. Anand, please unmute yourself. Others on the buzzer for +5 and -5. Anand for +10 and no negative. Okay, here's your question, Anand. Clockwise from bottom, the two inspired the names of the two companies under Economic Offences Wing scanner for duping investors. The third is the financial services firm by the same founder. What is the now defunct retail chain by the founder that counted Azim Premji as one of its investors? The retail chain, with its 1,600 outlets, failed amidst during the 2008 financial crisis. Had over 1,600 outlets across India, currently under EOW scanner. Others on the buzzer, +5, -5. Anand, no answer at all. So that's no negatives to you. Nobody else on the buzzer. Questions coming thick and fast, but seem to be a little difficult. The right answer is Subhiksha. R. Subramanian Subhiksha. On the left is Gestapo Investments. Bottom is, of course, Pentagon. So he had another company called Pentagon Trading. And on top right is Vishwapriya Group, which was another financial company that he ran. And then he ventured into retail business, established 1,600 outlets during the noughties in the 2000s. And unfortunately, by 2008, there was a lot of debt that he accumulated, which is why he had to sort of kill the entire business, right? So that's the answer that I was looking for. Also, his financial businesses are under EOW scanner for duping investors. That's a separate story, but in this case, I was only looking for the retail chain. No points to anyone. We move on to question number 4 on your screen. Bid for this. I'm looking for the driver in this car, and I've given you a better visual. Subhashish on the buzzer, 7 seconds left. Ravi joins in the party. And that's about it. Right, so Subhashish, this is for you. If you don't answer, pass it to Ravi. Subhashish, your question. You want the question?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you
sure.
want to answer?
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
take the question. Take my advice, take the question. Originally designed by Hans Triple, the Amphi car could reach 90 miles per hour on land and 10 miles per hour on water. One of its most famous owners was this Texan, who would prank his guests by rolling it down the hill, exclaiming the brakes have failed only to safely float on the water. Who?
Excel Ford.
Your answer is?
It's Excel Ford.
Itself Ford. No, I'm afraid that is incorrect. Ravi, question to you.
Yeah, you were saying, okay, the persons in the picture is the owner. You said that.
No, I'm looking for the driver. Who's the driver? And I've given you a better visual for the driver.
So Lyndon B. Johnson, LBJ.
LBJ. So you're saying it's LBJ who's the
Lyndon B.
who's the
Johnson, who's the
Texan in
US,
question?
yeah, US president.
Is absolutely correct. That's the answer that I was looking for. Good answer there, Ravi. That's a plus 10 to you. And what that means is, Subhashish, that's a minus 10 for you because Ravi was the other bidder and he pounced on the opportunity. This is indeed LBJ. Amphi car was a not so popular car around the 60s and 50s and 60s. And LBJ was one of the better known customers of the car. And as the question says, he was a prankster as well. He would roll the car down the hill and it would land on the lake, and his friend or whoever was in the car would be extremely scared. Oh, OMG, we're gonna drown the car or something. But this was an Amphi car, right? So it would float on water, reach speeds of 10 miles per hour on water as well. But you know, for various reasons, could not survive the tests of the market. And yeah, so this is LBJ, who was the president of US in the 60s, became the president post the assassination of JFK, and was a Democrat from Texas. After him was Richard Nixon. Republicans took over and killed the global money, pegged the dollar against just paper, and took away gold from under it, right? So this is LBJ that I was looking for. Good answer there, Ravi. That's a plus 10 to you, minus 10 to Subhashish. Took a gamble, couldn't give the answer. We move on to next question. There's 3 questions that are left in this round. Here is number 5. I'm looking for the rebranded name. On the left is the earlier one, and on the right is the inspiration for the rebranded name. Right, Rishi again. Okay, Rishi, this is for you. Playing extremely strategically here, Rishi. Rishi, please unmute. Here is your question. Others still on the buzzer for +5, -5. Originally founded as Indo-US Venture Partners, this VC fund rebranded itself to an Indian name to emphasize its strong Indian mooring. The Indian name is derived from the martial art form whose name means battlefield or combat arena. Thus, an apt name for a firm investing in startups fighting battles to win markets. What name?
Yeah, it's a Kalari Capital.
And the martial art being?
Kalari Payattu.
And your answer is Kalari Capital. That is absolutely correct. That's the answer. This is indeed Kalari Capital. So Bani Kola's Kalari Capital was earlier called Indo-US Venture Partners, IUVP. They then rebranded their name to Kalari Capital, inspired by the martial art form Kalari Payattu. Absolutely brilliant there, Rishi, on the bid. Nobody else on the bid either. So that means Rishi gets a +10 for giving me a right answer. However, there were 3 other people interested, but it doesn't pass because Rishi has already pounced on the opportunity. Right, so that's well done. We move on to question number 6 on your screen now. Work-inspired business autobiography. Your answer should include the name of the autobiography and whose autobiography. This person's work inspired a certain autobiography. Right, time is up. 3 people on the buzzer, Ravi, Janishar, and Rishi. We'll start with Ravi first. Ravi, your question for +10. If you're right, please unmute.
Yeah, you will show the questions.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Take a look at the question and give me the answer.
Yeah.
Whose autobiography that has the blurb, the extraordinary Story of the Rise and Fall of a Global Business Icon, and published in March 2019, is taken from the first line of Tagore's English poetry collection, Gitanjali, number 35. The poem was originally titled Prarthana when it was published in his 1901 poetry collection, Naivedya or Offering. Whose autobiography and what is the name of the autobiography?
Rajat Gupta's autobiography, and the name of the autobiography is Mind Without Fear.
Is correct. Absolutely. That's the answer that I was looking for. This is indeed Rajat Gupta, Mind Without Fear. Brilliant answer there, Ravi. That gets you another 10-pointer in this round. Absolutely brilliant quizzing. And Ravi continuing to build on his lead. Well done. You've already reached 45. There were quite a few people interested on this one, but Ravi was the first on the buzzer, the first on the bid. We move on to our final question of this round. First, let's bid. Insides of what? Two seconds. Right, time's up. Just Anand on the buzzer, Anand on the bid. So Anand, this is for you. Free question plus 10, no negative. Made of titanium, aluminium, and high temperature 1-inch thick insulation, this is the inside of what data storage device? Anand, 10 seconds.
Yes.
Inside of what data storage device? 2 seconds, Anand. I need an answer. Nothing. That's it. Your time is up. No negatives though. Passes to Ravi.
I think this is black box.
You think this is the black box? I think so too. Absolutely. That's the answer. This is indeed the black box. Absolutely brilliant quizzing there, Ravi. Indeed, back-to-back answers, but this time for a 5. That brings us to the end of the second round as well. Anand couldn't answer. He did bid though, but since there were no other bidders, no negatives to Anand, but Ravi gets a +5. That brings us to the end of round 2. We'll take a look at the scores, but before we do that, let's ask an audience question. All right, audience, this is a question for you. It won't appear on screen, so you don't have to pay close attention to what's appearing on the screen. Right, my question is to the audience, you know how it works. Please comment on the same question on Twitter. We will be posting it from the Twitter account @NHRDN. So listen to my question, head over to Twitter. You'll see the same question there. Comment on it with the hashtag Udaan2020. All right, here is your question. My life in fashion and business, American Dreamer, is the autobiography of which person who has an eponymous brand? My life in fashion and business, American Dreamer. Right, so that's your question. Please head over to Twitter and give us the answer to this question. Like I said, there are amazing Amazon gift vouchers to be won. If you're the first one to give the right answer, I've already asked one question, and now I'm here with the second question. So please give me your answer as we get ready to take a look at the scores after the end of 2 rounds. Just give me a moment. All right, I hope all of you have taken a look at, have given your answers to the question, my life in fashion and business, American Dreamer. Whose autobiography is this? Right, so we'll take a look at the scores halfway into the quiz in the Eastern Zonal Finals. It's a quiz with lots of twists and turns. as we've experienced, so many of you tried to hit the buzzer. Not always did you get negatives. Perhaps a format that you're not so accustomed to yet. Generally, we're all accustomed to hitting the buzzer, and if we don't answer, we get negatives. But in a format like this, where there are a fair bit of permutations and combinations and twists and turns that are involved en route victory. Remember, top 2 participants will be selected for the national final. Let's take a look at the scores after the end of 2 rounds. Here they are on your screen. Starting with Rishi, you're on 10. Anand, you're on -5. Danisha, you're on -5 as well. Ankita, still to open your account. Subhashish, you've collected 2 negatives, which means you're on -15. And currently leading with a fairly comfortable margin is Ravi, who's raced to 50 already. That's very well done, Ravi. But I'm sure Ravi will not feel settled. There's a long way to go in this quiz. We're only done with half the quiz. We move on to round number 3. This round is called Satyanveshi, personal tribute to Vyomkesh, who instead of calling himself as a detective, he likes to call himself a Satyanveshi. In this case, I'm not playing Satyanveshi. I'll be telling you a bunch of lies, just like fiat currency, right? So I'll keep telling you a bunch of lies. I'll keep giving you certain false statements. There are 6 false statements that I will be giving you, and you get 20 seconds. Your job is to identify a part that is false, right? And not just do that, but also tell me how to correct the statement. What should replace the false bit in the statement and make it correct? Only finding the false part will be considered as incorrect. So don't just give me that I think this word is incorrect. Instead of this, something else should be there. If you do that and don't tell me what is the other word or what is the other thing or name or place or person who should replace it, if you don't do that, I will still give you a negative. There are multiple buzzers allowed, +10, -5. Incidentally, while this is a round that's a tribute to Vyomkesh, it is also a round that is that I incorporated as a feedback that I got from one of the participants in an earlier quiz. So if you're watching, heartfelt thank you and gratitude, right? So I take feedback extremely seriously, and this round is a case in point, right? So after the end of this quiz, feel free to give me feedback. I'm more than willing to accept it, just like this one. Okay, so we will begin now. Look at the statement, read it carefully. You have 20 seconds. Within the 20 seconds, hit the buzzer, identify the false part. All statements are false. Nothing, they're not, it's not like out of the 6, 1 will be true entirely or anything like that. Nothing like that. All are false statements. You have to correct them, right? So here is your first statement on your screen. Founded in Chicago in 1873, the agency DDB was called Lord and Thomas until 1942, when Albert Lasker sold the firm to its 3 managers, Emerson Doyle in New York, Fairfax Dane in Chicago, and Don Bernbach in California. In 1963, it stunned the investment world by becoming a public company, the first major ad agency to take this step. What is the false part about this statement, and how will you correct it? +10, -5. Right, no takers on this one. The right answer is that this is not about DDB. Instead, this is about FCB. So this was actually Emerson Foote, Fairfax Cohn, and Don Belding, and not Doyle, Dane, and Bernbach. So I just replaced the surnames here. This wasn't about DDB, but this was about FCB, the well-known advertising agency that also was one of the first major advertising agencies to go public way back in 1963, right? It wasn't about DDB. No points to anyone, a very difficult question perhaps, but all of these are extremely smart participants. And I'm sure there are better answers coming from each of these participants. We'll move on to statement number 2. In 2014, broadband penetration in Nigeria was just over 30% and smartphone penetration even lesser. But that did not deter the forward-looking Central Bank of Nigeria, who designed the first ever digital banknote, that's what they called it, by printing Wi-Fi username passwords of all government-funded public Wi-Fi hotspots. And as you can see with the arrow, I've removed something from there. So the world's first ever digital banknote, they printed Wi-Fi username passwords of all government-funded public Wi-Fi hotspots. 7 seconds. Anybody going for it? +10, -5. Nobody going for it. I'm afraid your time is up. So this Wi-Fi username password bit is the false part of the statement. Of course, you can see Central Bank of Nigeria there. I haven't photoshopped that part. They did call it the world's first ever digital banknote, but it wasn't about printing the Wi-Fi username password. They actually published QR codes there. They published QR codes on the banknote and they called it first ever digital banknote. But there was nothing really digital about it, unlike the conversation that we have these days about CBDC, central bank digital currencies. All you could do by scanning the QR code was you could just track the history of, the banknote in Nigeria. I don't know how that would really help in transaction or as a medium of exchange, but perhaps they had this idea that this light bulb moment, then maybe we can steal this idea of first digital banknote, although there was nothing digital about it, so to say, in terms of usage, right? But they did publish QR codes there where you can track the history of the banknote and not really do much about it. Nobody going for it on the buzzer again. 2 questions going begging. We move on to question number 3, or actually statement number 3. I'll keep on lying. I'll lie 4 more times. I hope sometimes you can catch my lies. Here is number 3. Mukesh Khanna is the superhero across these brands. So these are 2 print ads of 2 separate brands. Engine Oil's ka superhero and Trusted by Real superhero. My statement is Mukesh Khanna is the superhero across these brands. Anyone going for it? No, nobody taking it. This isn't Mukesh Khanna. This is somebody else who's gained a lot of widespread fame, especially in this year, for all his good deeds that he did. The person is
Sonu Sood.
Sonu Sood, right? So Sonu Sood is the superhero in question and not Mukesh Khanna. We all know the great deeds that Sonu Sood did, so I don't need to tell you, but still, good deeds should be publicized often again. Of course, he sent a lot of people, a lot of migrants back home. He helped people during the lockdowns and the pandemic and help people return to safety and comfort of wherever they felt comfortable. Right, so that's Sonu Sood. Well done, Sonu Sood. And not so well done, participants. You're not hitting the buzzer. They're all questions available for taking +10, -5. We move on to statement number 4. In 2014, the president of Kiribati, Anote Tong, made headlines when he pioneered the purchase of a plot of land for 8.7 million in Fiji in the face of a threat posed by military coup d'etat. The purchased land was the 5,500-acre Notua Watu estate, a freehold property that is a rarity in Fiji, where much of the land tenure is customary and unavailable to foreigners. Tell me what's not correct. If you've seen a pattern in the previous 3 statements, the part that is incorrect is not something that's ugly in nature. It's something that's right there in front of you, something that's a lot more prominent than, just me changing the year or changing the figure of the millions or something like that. Nobody going on the buzzer again. 4 questions done. Nobody taking it, finding it really difficult. The right answer is not the threat faced by military coup d'etat. Kiribati happens to be a tiny island nation. And I'm guessing we're all aware of what seems to be the fate of all these tiny island nations, which is rising seas thanks to global warming, or not really thanks to global warming, actually. So this is rising seas taking over or grabbing or capturing the land. These tiny nations like Maldives, Seychelles, Mauritius, Kiribati. So they bought a piece of land in Fiji. Citizens of Fiji, being the good Samaritans that they were, they allowed this to happen. So they have allowed, a plot of land of 5,500 acres to accommodate the citizens of Kiribati, should there be a need. I hope we don't reach a state like that. We move on to statement number 5. From an unused preface to Animal Farm, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do, not what they want to hear. This statue of George Orwell was unveiled outside the British Parliament in 2017. Tell me how to make it correct. Three seconds. Plus 10 minus 5. Nobody taking it. The right answer is not the British Parliament, but outside the BBC headquarters. You'll find this outside the BBC headquarters, not outside the British Parliament. Perhaps the fear of the negatives that come attached with the buzzers are making the participants not take the guesses on the buzzer. But still, we'll play with the field that we're offered. Sometimes the field is a bouncy pitch in Australia, which people find difficulty in navigating. This round seems to be very similar to the drama that unfolded down under. But I hope it's a tide that changes its way soon enough. We move on to number 6. In their earliest blog post, Instagram's founder wrote, "My co-founder Bobby and I met at Stanford in 2009. Our first project was Future Freshman, a site that would forever improve the way high school students applied to college, or so we thought. The site failed to get traction, but we learned something important. We loved working together." Anand on the buzzer. Yes, Anand, please unmute.
This is not Instagram, this is Snapchat.
This is not Instagram, this is Snapchat. So who's the founder in question?
Ivan Spiegel.
And Bobby would be?
Bobby Murphy, his co-founder.
Is correct. Absolutely. That's the answer that I was looking for. This is indeed Snapchat. This is Evan Spiegel speaking about Bobby Murphy. Their first project that they worked on together was called Future Freshman. Absolutely brilliant there, Anand. So a little pep talk that I gave, Anand took to heart, and as a result of which hit the buzzer, gave the right answer, a much needed right answer, because that brings Anand back into positive ways. He gets 10 points. He moves on to 5 points. The scores up to the end of 3 rounds. 50 to Ravi, still maintaining his hefty lead. 10 points to Rishi. 5 to Anand. Ankita on 0. Janishar on -5. And Subhashish on -15. We move on to question number 4. But before we do that, there's an audience question. All right, audience, listen to the question carefully. What wordplay is given, or what wordplay name is given to the Startup Accelerator program of the group which owns companies like Z Media, Z TV, Z Music, Z5, and a very popular amusement park? I'm looking for a wordplay name that is given to the Startup Accelerator program of the group which owns companies like Z Media, Z TV, and a very famous amusement park, right? So what is the name that's given to them? It's a lovely pun, right? So please head to Twitter. Please find this question. This must be the very last tweet that we posted from our Twitter handle @NHRDN. As a comment to that question, please post your answer. Right, so that's the question for the audience. We'll give you a moment so that you can quickly do that. and come back as we move on to our final round of 7 questions. All right, let's move on to our final round. This round is called Buzz Master. There are 7 questions on the buzzer. 20 seconds is what you have. You will only see a visual on screen. If you know the answer, hit the buzzer. If you give me a right answer, and if you're the first person on the buzzer, you get 10. If you're the second on the buzzer, you get 8. If you're the third on the buzzer, 6, 4, and 2, and a flat -5 for giving me a wrong answer on the buzzer. The moment you interrupt me on the buzzer, while I'm reading the question, I stop reading the question, I wait for your answer. If your answer is correct, these are the points that you get. If your answer is incorrect, you get a -5. And if nobody else is on the buzzer, I continue reading the question in the interest of the others till I hopefully have a right answer coming from someone on the buzzer. Clear? All right, so we will start. First question, round number 4, common to all of you. There are 2 visuals. There's a common word in both the visuals that I've hidden. All right, here is your question. Coming from Persia, Central Asia, Mongolia, the Middle East, and Greece, this book describes a wide variety of migrants who made India their home. What is this book titled? A term that the author, professor of English at Ashoka University, used for himself in the second book, the book on the right. The first book is called The First Blank. The second book is called Masala Shakespeare. What is the common word missing from both the books? Nobody going for it on the buzzer. I'm afraid I'll have to close the question. So the second book is titled Masala Shakespeare, How a Blank Writer Became Indian. The author is Jonathan Gill Harris. He's also the author of the first book, which is called The First Blank, which talks about a wide variety of migrants who came from various countries and made India their home. The answer is Firangi. The First Firangi and Masala Shakespeare, How a Firangi Writer Became Indian. He's a professor of English at Ashoka University, Jonathan Gill Harris. The First Firangi and Masala Shakespeare, these are his 2 books in question. Right, so Firangi is the answer that I was looking for. An easy answer to a difficult question, perhaps. We move on to question number 2. On your screen, what are these various figures about? An entity shared this picture as part of a throwback series. Rabi, your answer?
This is a float sign of the stock booking NYC. So traders, okay, when they trade in the NYC floats, okay, they put these signs. Okay, so this
in what float?
New York Stock Exchange float.
NYC. Okay, so they use these signs.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a -5, Ravi. I will continue reading the question in the interest of others. An entity shared this picture as part of a throwback series around the time when a popular web series regarding a malpractice within the entity gained momentum. What do these signals refer to? The last 2 signals, whose description I have removed, are basically the opposite of each other. A very important clue that I've given is when a popular web series regarding a malpractice within the entity gained momentum. That's when they released this set of visuals. Ankita, just in time. Please unmute and answer.
Okay, I'm taking a guess here from the clue you gave. So maybe it's related to scam 1992. So when the series released, so probably these are the signs in the stock market, how the shares go up and down.
Okay, where? I'm not looking for the series though.
Yeah. Okay, where? But I mean, yeah, stock exchange, SEBI.
Okay, that is incorrect. That's a -5 to Ankita. You got the series part right. Does Ravi want to improve on his answer? I'm sure he does.
This is Bombay Stock Exchange.
Is correct. That's the answer that I
You should
was
not give
looking
me
for.
negative. Anyway.
I'm sorry. I want to be a little harsh today.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
No, you categorically said NYSE.
No,
and
fine. I misled. I did not heard the last sentence you uttered.
You did not, yeah. I was coming to that. You did not wait for me to give the more important bit of the question.
The series.
Right, so hard luck, Ravi. Although you did answer a question related to it in the films, if you remember. Right, so anyway.
I did.
Yeah, so did everybody. All right, so that's a -5, Ravi, and -5 to Ankita. Ravi did do the hard work though, but he identified the incorrect entity. He said New York Stock Exchange, but I was looking for something closer home. But for that, I gave him the latter half of my question. We move on to question number 3. 5 questions remain. Here is number 3. I'm looking for 2 parts. Both are essentially nicknames. You have to give me the 2 nicknames. Okay, here is number 3. And these nicknames are essentially, in a sense, opposite of each other. All right, here is number 3. Donald Trump, while campaigning for his 2016 election, described how he made his fortune by calling himself the king of something. And he tweeted thus.
Ajay, your voice is muffling very badly.
Okay, just give me a moment.
Is my voice better now?
It's better, Ajay. It's
okay.
better.
All right, cool. So I'll continue. So Donald Trump, while campaigning for the 2016 elections, described how he made his fortune by calling himself the
Ajay,
king
clock
of...
off. Got off.
Say that again.
The clock got off. 20-second clock.
Oh, that's fine. Let me continue with the question. It starts after I read the question. So he tweeted thus: on the other end of the economic spectrum was Hugo Dieter Steins, who was called King of Y, for he borrowed fiat currency during the Weimar Republic while holding gold and silver and then repaid them when marks became worthless. So Donald Trump called himself King of X. This person, Hugo Steins, is called King of Y. And in a sense, they're on the either end of the economic spectrum. What? Both of these things are pretty much in the news these days. Nobody going for it on the buzzer. The answer that I was looking for, Donald Trump called himself, I am the king of debt that has been great for me as a businessman, but is bad for the country. I made a fortune of debt, will fix US. And I'm sure you're all aware, US printed $5 trillion of US dollars, and as a result of which is in 135% debt to GDP ratio this year. Hugo Steins, however, is called King of Inflation because he borrowed the Deutschmarks at the peak of Weimar Republic inflation, and when the time came to repay, he was able to repay very well because he hoarded all the gold and silver, right? So he's called King of Inflation. So either end of the economic spectrum. No points to anyone because nobody answered. We move on to question number 4. Right, 2-part question. There is a question mark as well, and the common connect. Rishi.
Yeah, they all under Rebel Foods.
Okay, and?
Rebel Food is the parent entity of all these. Yeah.
Okay. What replaces the question mark?
Pathos is there, our story is there.
Right. Next on the buzzer is Anand. Anand, please unmute.
Yeah, the parent company is Rebel Foods.
Okay.
And That one is, I don't remember.
You don't know. All right. Next on the buzzer is Ravi.
So Rebel Food,
Okay.
and you want the other brands, the last brand.
Tell me
First
what
was,
replaces the question mark.
yeah. So
3
no,
seconds.
no.
2, 1. -5, Ravi. Next on the buzzer is Ankita.
Yeah, I was also saying the parent company is Rebel Foods, but the question mark is it's. Yeah, I can't remember. It was some recipe or something of.
All right.
Sorry.
That's it.
Okay.
May I improvise?
No, not anymore. I moved on to 4 other participants after you, Rishi. And finally, Subhashish. 2 and -5.
Same here, same here. Rebel Foods, parent company, Rebel Foods, the question mark I don't know.
You missed out on the latest addition, everyone. Janishar, however, hasn't opted for it on the buzzer. 5 of you opted for it on the buzzer. Unfortunately, all of you get a -5. Although even if Janishar would have pressed the buzzer, he wouldn't have got any points because there are only 5 buzzers allowed. My question was, calling itself the world's largest internet restaurant company, identify this company that counts Gojek and Travis Kalanick as investors, and what is the latest or the 12th addition to its list of brands? Rishi, you want to answer now?
Yeah, it's Lunchbox.
Oh no, it's not Lunchbox. This
Uber,
is
Uber.
Wendy's. This
Wendy's,
is Wendy's.
okay.
So, but
Wendy's.
Ajay, Wendy's, they are not putting it as a brand. They are using their kitchens
They're
as
using
a.
their cloud kitchen services.
Yeah,
This is,
so
this is a screenshot lifted straight from Rebel's Food
okay,
website.
fine. Ajay, could you tell the scores once, because this is 4th question down?
Yeah. Right. Scores as follows: Ravi on 40, Rishi on 5, then Anand, Janishar, Ankita, all of you on -5, and Subhashish on -20. It's a very tricky situation that we're in right now. All right, so we move on to question number 5. This was Wendy's, the latest addition to them. It's not like Rebel Foods has acquired them. They're only helping
Ajay.
them with the cloud kitchen services.
Ajay,
Yes.
I'll be on 0, I think. Not minus. Just check from your end.
No. You got a -5 earlier in this round as well?
No, I was, before this round, I was on 5, +5, and this is -5.
You will be on 0, Ajay. You will be on
Ankita
0.
got a -5.
You will be on 0. Anand will be on 0.
Yeah. Ankita got a -5. I'm sorry about it. I'll rephrase. 40 is Ravi. 5 is Rishi. Anand is on 0. -5 Janishar. -10 Ankita. -20 Subhashish. When I woke up in the morning, this is not what I hoped for after the end of 4 questions in the final round. But perhaps it's a difficult territory. It's a somewhat hostile territory, the zonal final. We'll move on to question number 5 on your screen now. I'll show you a set of visuals again. Tell me the common business. Tell me what is the business that they're all part of or involved in. These are all companies, Rishi.
Yeah, they are all payment gateways. The bottom left is Lazy Pay, and the right corner is I'm just missing the names, but they are all payment gateways.
All right, I'll continue. These are all companies in the business of BNPL that offer small ticket credit. What is BNPL? I'll keep it open for 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. That's a -5 Rishi. Too late, Ankita. That's a -5 Rishi. I can't give it to you just for saying payment gateways because I categorically specified BNPL, which you didn't wait for. You did identify Lazy Pay. That's Affirm on top. Then on top right, that's Simple. Then on bottom left is Lazy Pay, which you identified.
Buy now, pay later.
Buy now, pay.
Yeah, buy now, pay later.
The one on bottom right is called Afterpay, and the answer that I was looking for is buy now, pay later. right? Can't just give it to you for saying payment gateways, because there are unicorns from India who are part of, the payment gateway business. So I can't give that to India. But this is a new style of payment gateways, and I categorically specified BNPL. It is in your interest to wait a little for me to give a little more hint. We experienced this earlier in this round as well. We're experiencing it again in this round. You get a -5, Rishi, brings you back to 0 and tied with Anand. We'll move on to question number 6. There are 2 questions that remain. Give me a common connect across these 3. Anand. Anand, I need an answer. Please unmute.
This is the listing of, like this is Amrut, the government the government scheme, and
this is the listing of Amrut. Okay.
No, this is logo of Amrut. I will go with Atal. Atal is the common connect.
And how do you connect that?
That Atal mission, and maybe that building named after Atal Bihari Vajpayee or something, and maybe
building is named after Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Maybe I'm not sure. I'm going with Atal.
Okay, and the logo top left? Nothing. Okay, I'll continue with the question. The first time this manner of raising funds was used was in January 1998 in Gujarat. The latest time it was done was described as a new chapter in the development history of Uttar Pradesh, when 450 crores were raised, thanks to the 9th time ever, when Rishi.
Yeah, I would like to add that Uttar Pradesh has floated the IPO of its government entity quite recently, and so does Amrut.
Uttar Pradesh floated an IPO of the government, and so what is Amrut?
UP Municipal Corporation, I think. Yeah, it's a government entity from UP. I'm just.
UP here is Uttar Pradesh. Government entity from UP is. That doesn't make sense.
Can I buzz again?
No.
I'm just missing that state authority, some state authority just listed for IPO quite recently.
I'll have to be.
I'm just missing the name.
And you really regret missing it. I'll move on.
It's PWD, I think.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, Rishi. When 450 crores were raised, thanks to the 9th time ever when such a platform was used to raise funds, what is the latest in the list? I'll do this again. The latest time it was done was described as a new chapter in the development history of UP when 450 crores were raised thanks to the 9th time ever when such a platform was used to raise funds. Right, time is up.
Can I answer without buzzer?
Okay, let Anand correct himself, Ravi.
Okay.
Listing of Lucknow Municipal Corporation on Bombay Stock Exchange.
And how does Anand think that building is named after Atal? This is my question from the Eastern Zonal Final. After phenomenal answers across years of quizzing,
I'm just out of my mind now.
has been named after Atal and not a certain Mr. Firoz Jiji Bhai.
Actually, I just saw Amrut and
that's a -5 to the both of you, Rishi and Anand. Rishi, you needed to say Lucknow. All I needed was Lucknow from you. I had given UP. You said listing.
I just missed the city. Actually, just point recently, I have. came across with it.
So the government entity, PWD, all of those things you mentioned, although this is not PWD, this is the Lucknow Municipal Corporation, but I would have given had you just said Lucknow at least. I really needed Lucknow. And how Amrut fits in is because this was part of the Amrut mission, right? So under the Ministry of Home Affairs Amrut scheme, right? So that's what I was looking for. I'm guessing because of the pressure of qualification, there's a lot of stress that the participants are taking, and something as easy as Lucknow and identifying the BSc towers as Atal towers or Atal building. I don't know how to describe this, you know, with quizzes of such might and great achievements behind them. So we'll move on to our final question. Safe to say, we have one qualification and one position assured in the Eastern Zonal Final. So maybe Ravi could relax a bit and just see what happens, right? Ravi, you've done the hard work. You've done all the work that you needed to do.
No, I'm not buzzing. I'm not buzzing.
Cool. Thank you, Ravi. Anand, you've buzzed already, unless you're giving me an answer.
Mistake, by mistake, I said.
Okay, I'll consider this to be a mistake because I haven't given any clue at all. Okay. Here is the final question of the Eastern round. Let me tell you where we're at. And I don't know, maybe I did not wake up from the right side of the bed today, because the scores are as follows. Keeping Ravi aside, we have 3 participants at -5, 1 at -10, and the other at -20. Right, so it is still open for 4 participants. It is available for the taking. So let me just tell you what I'm looking for. I'll give you 4 visuals, 4 logos. You have to tell me what is the other business of these companies instead of the front that they're putting in front of us. Instead of what they're putting in front of us, what is their other business that they're not putting in front of us? That's the question that you have to answer. All right, here is your question, the final question of the Eastern Zonal Final on your screen. These news portals are sponsoring 7 of the 11 Indian Super League teams that is currently going on. However, that doesn't sit well with keen observers of country's laws, of India's laws. Why? Because of their association with what? Or what kind of business? Anand, really taking this. Okay, Anand.
Maybe something to do with the online betting or something.
These are all companies associated with online betting. Absolutely, that's the answer that I was looking for. Good answer there, Anand, and a very valuable answer coming from Anand, which allows him to qualify in the final. Congratulations, Anand. That gets you 10 points. So these are all companies, Parimatch, D-News, Sportop and Indie News. These are all companies that are putting the front of being associated with the news business, but otherwise their main revenue generator is the business of betting, which is why, you know, you'll see their Facebook fan pages having 500,000 followers, 500/1000 followers, and that's about it, because these are new companies that they floated just so that they can get into public perception, right? But otherwise, their main revenue generator is betting. That's what I was looking for. Good answer there, Anand. After a lot of hard work, after a lot of sweating, finally, Anand gives me the answer, a correct answer that I was seeking. Good answer there, Anand. We'll take a little break here. But before that, there's one final audience question that I have for everyone who've been patiently waiting for us. This is a question for the audience. If the first one was a Cadillac convertible imported from the US, and the current one is a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, S600 Pullman Guard, what item of national importance am I speaking of? I'll repeat. The first one was a Cadillac convertible. The latest one, or the current one, is a Mercedes-Benz S-Class S600 Pullman Guard. What am I speaking of? This is a question for the audience. You don't have to answer here or on the live streaming chat. You have to answer on Twitter. on the latest tweet that we've posted at NHRDN. Please visit it, give your answer, give your comment as the answer along with the hashtag Udaan 2020, and you get to win Amazon gift vouchers. Right. While you do that, at this point in time, I'd like to welcome, before I declare the final results, I'd like to welcome our dignitaries, starting with Madam Kamakshi Raman, who's the ED HRD of SAIL and also the president of National HRD Network Ranchi chapter, and also a huge backbone because she's the one which helped us expand our horizons of Udaan 2020 and get into organizing a national level quiz. Ma'am, if you're here, I'd like to welcome you on screen.
Thank you.
Please address everyone. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ajay. A very good evening to all of you. Very interesting last 1 hour, very stressful for the quizzers, I'm sure. I found it interesting because I didn't have to participate. Thank you very much. As the host of this Udaan 2020, I thought I'll take this opportunity to give a brief about Udaan. This is a flagship event of the National HRD Network Ranchi chapter, which we had started in a very small way in 2011. At that time, we had only 26 teams, mostly from organizations around in and around Ranchi and different SAIL units. Over the years, it's very nice to know that this event has grown from strength to strength. And now it's a full-blown national level competition and one of the most coveted corporate quizzing events of the country. In fact, this is an eagerly awaited event by all the quiz enthusiasts across the country. And for the first time in its virtual avatar, this is the 10th edition of Udaan. And I'm very happy to say that we have had a record participation of more than 350 participants from almost more than 50 companies, ranging from IT, ITES, BFSI, oil, power, steel, mining sectors, and many other sectors. Apart from the organizing efforts, because this is the first time we were trying to do this on a virtual space, the soul and energy of this event is all actually coming from all of you. The enthusiastic quizzers who are forever striving to be the best. I could see a lot of tension and all. We are used to seeing all of you in a physical mode till now, but this time the experience is very, very different. This event, of course, is a celebration of all your effort, passion, and quest for excellence. I'm sure some of you who could not make it this time, it was a little tough, I could realize. I'm sure next time we will come out with a new resolve, and let's see how it works out in 2021, Udaan 2021. I would like to thank all the companies who have nominated you. Congrats and thanks to Ajay Punia from QuipTech, who has been conducting this quiz for a long time now, and now is, of course, a very famous quiz master of our country. Let me also take this opportunity to thank people behind this event, the entire collective effort of all the HRD network chapters and the leadership team of NHRD, who had actually given their trust and confidence. Ranchi is one of a very small chapter in the NHRD space, but the trust and confidence that this can be taken at a national level, this was given by the leadership team of the NHRD. I'm sure this virtual experience, we can improve it later. And a lot of effort has gone through this, behind this. I'd like to congratulate the entire team of the National Secretariat of the National HRD Network and the SAIL MTA team for making this event a good success, huge success in terms of the participation. In particular, Srimat Malik is behind this, very avid quizzer himself, who has conceived and nurtured this event from infancy to what you're all witnessing today. Thank you. Thanks to all of you once again. Over to you, Ajay.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your contribution, and thank you for being a backbone of this wonderful event. And now I'd like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Amitav Mukherjee, who's the head corporate HR of ITC Limited and is also the regional president of the Eastern region of National NHRDN Network. Sir, if we can have you on screen and address our participants and all the members of the audience who've joined in from on various live streaming platforms. Nisha ma'am, if you can please confirm the presence of sir in the room.
Ajay, I think Mr. Mukherjee has stepped out, so we may continue, please.
All right. So then, all right. So looks like sir has dropped out, and maybe he'll join in at a later stage. So if he does, we'll invite him to chat with us for a brief while. But in the meanwhile, let's quickly declare the results, the final scores, identify our qualifiers in the national final. But first, before we do that, we have to identify the participants that unfortunately missed out on qualification in the national final, but still did exceedingly well for being here in the zonal final. So that for that, there are some prizes for them, right? So let's quickly announce those prizes as well and identify all these participants who unfortunately missed out on being in the qualifiers in the national final. Starting with Rishi Kant Gupta, finishing with a score of -5. Ankita, she finishes with a score of -10. Janishar Imam, you finish with a score of -20. And Subhashish Kispota, you finish with a score of -20 as well. So what that means is...
I'm on -5.
-10, yeah.
-5.
I will correct it. So what that means is, unfortunately, for missing out on the podium on the first two positions, all of you still get rupees 5,000 each. So I'm sure all of you will feel happy about that. So congratulations to each one of you. You're all winners of the 5,000 rupees prize to each one of you. Congratulations for that. But now to our qualifiers in the national final. Starting with second place, a fight that went on to the final question, winning a prize of 15,000 rupees is Anand Raj from Bokaro Sale, who I'm sure will, even though he's won 15,000 bucks and has qualified for the national final, I'm sure he will still feel undone with his own performance, and he would cricket team, but also for Anand on his own quizzing performance. But well done, Anand. Congratulations on, just doing about enough when it mattered the most. Right. And finally, a huge round of applause for our winner for the day, a convincing victory for our champion. Please welcome Ravi Shankar Saha from Capgemini with a score of 40 points. Congratulations, Ravi. Well done. Right, well done to the both of you. And there are also certain certificates which will be emailed to you as well. So this is the runner-up certificate to Anand. Congratulations to you and your organization, Sale Bokaro. And of course, to Ravi from Capgemini. Both of you, Anand as well as Ravi, you qualify for the national final. And we'll see you again on the 27th of December. Congratulations. We'd also like to thank all our sponsors, without whose support this wouldn't have been possible. And that's it from me. Thank you for the final of the Eastern Zone. I'd request Nisha ma'am to please come over and close the event.
Thank you indeed, Ajayji. What an exhilarating start, I should say, to the first zonal finals of East Zone. Congratulations again, winners. I would say all of you are winners for having made it thus far. And the two of you who go on to the finals, we will see you all soon in a week. And today, I would request you to please stay tuned for the West Zone finals that begins very shortly. See you all at the other side. Thank you.